The academy was enormous. Towering spires of metal and glass reflected the distant stars, and countless ships moved in the sky, ferrying students and instructors from one side to another. It was a place where the brightest minds of humanity trained to protect the galaxy, to identify threats, and to understand alien civilizations better than anyone else. Every year, the academy accepted a small number of students, each chosen for their intelligence, courage, or unique perspective. Lyra walked quietly through the main hall. She was not tall, and her clothes were simple, but there was a calm certainty in the way she moved. Unlike many students, she did not talk loudly or try to impress anyone. She preferred to observe. Her eyes moved over the bustling corridors, noticing small details, the angle at which a robot's arm moved, the faint shimmer of a holographic display, the subtle shift in a student's posture. To Lyra, all of these were important, clues to understanding people, machines, and situations. Today, something unusual buzzed through the academy halls. Posters and announcements on every screen proclaimed, "Task: Identify the threat. A test for the finest minds. Only one can succeed." The students whispered excitedly as they made their way to the central lecture hall. Many of them were confident. Too confident, Lyra thought. They spoke in groups, sharing strategies and boasting about their skills. She ignored them. She had her own way of learning, one that did not require loud voices or quick decisions. The hall was vast, with seats arranged in rows that stretched like the steps of a giant staircase. At the front, instructors from various alien species moved with authority and grace. Each instructor had a reputation for being unreasonably strict, their minds sharp and unforgiving. Lyra chose her usual spot, the third row, center seat. From there, she could see everything: the students, the instructors, and the large holographic display that would soon reveal the task. A low hum filled the hall as the instructors activated the simulation. The main screen flickered to life, showing a star field with a sleek, unmarked spaceship entering a quiet sector. The instructors' voices echoed through the hall. "Welcome, students," said the lead instructor, a tall humanoid with silver hair that shimmered in the light. "Today, you will face the Identify the Threat task. Your mission is simple in description, but nearly impossible in execution. Locate the hidden danger before it escalates. Your decisions will be evaluated for precision, insight, and creativity. Only those who can think beyond instinct alone will succeed." The students leaned forward, eager to prove themselves. Many were already typing commands into their personal devices, analyzing the spaceship's trajectory and internal systems. Lyra, however, sat quietly, folding her hands on the desk in front of her. She watched. She listened. She noticed the small things that everyone else ignored. The simulation began. The ship on the display entered a seemingly peaceful star system. Automated sensors blinked and beeped, scanning for anomalies. Alerts popped up on the students' screens. Life signs in certain areas, energy fluctuations, strange signals. Most students jumped immediately, trying to mark potential threats. "Wait," Lyra whispered to herself, not loud enough for anyone to hear. She focused on the patterns of the signals. They seemed random at first, but there was a rhythm, a sequence. The anomalies were small, almost invisible. One student in the front row raised a red alert too quickly, and a warning sounded. "False alarm! Decision too hasty!" The instructors observed silently. One of them, a blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, shook their head. "Too many rely on speed over sense," they muttered. "Patience is wisdom." Lyra nodded to herself, as if agreeing with an unspoken truth. She studied the ship's systems, the movement of its crew, and even the lighting in the corridors. Her mind connected small details. A hallway that was slightly warmer than it should be. A life sign reading that dipped for a fraction of a second. a message sent between two crew members that made no sense. Meanwhile, the other students grew frustrated. "It has to be in this sector. Why can't we see it?" one exclaimed, his voice sharp with impatience. "We're the best in the academy. We can't fail on the first round." Lyra did not respond. She knew that rushing would only lead to mistakes. She allowed the simulation to unfold, noting the reactions of the ship's crew, the subtle differences between normal behavior and abnormal signals. She noticed that some crew members avoided certain areas repeatedly, and some machinery had minor malfunctions that seemed deliberately concealed. Time passed. Alerts grew louder, and more students made errors. One triggered a false security alarm that locked down the simulation ship, and another misinterpreted a friendly alien's gestures as hostile. The instructors marked these failures carefully, but no one yet succeeded in identifying the true threat. Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly as the pattern became clearer. She leaned forward, studying a particular section of the ship where the anomalies clustered. It was quiet, almost too quiet. Her instincts, sharpened by years of observing her surroundings in the frontier towns of her home planet, told her that danger often hides in places others overlook. And here, the danger was subtle, patient, waiting for the right moment. The instructors' voices cut through the tension. "All students, prepare for evaluation. Those who fail will be noted. Remember, overconfidence is a liability. Observation is a strength." Most students panicked. They frantically searched every system, sending probes, activating sensors, and running analyses. Alerts flashed in bright red. Yet despite all their effort, no one had pinpointed the hidden threat. Lyra remained calm. She did not need probes or flashy tools. Her mind worked like a quiet computer, connecting data points, forming hypotheses, and testing them internally. Finally, Lyra spoke softly, almost to herself. "It's not where they are, it's what they want you to see." She traced the path of energy signals and compared them to the ship's logs. A subtle inconsistency appeared. A device that should have been inactive was functioning, but in a way that mimicked normal operations. The instructors leaned forward, curious. They noticed her calm demeanor and the way her eyes never wavered from the display. This student, sitting quietly in the third row, was doing what no one else had done. She was seeing the invisible. "Class dismissed for now," the lead instructor announced, though their eyes lingered on Lyra. "None have succeeded. Review your methods and prepare for the next attempt." The students groaned, muttering complaints and blaming each other. Some stormed out, their confidence shaken. Others slumped in their seats, exhausted from trying too hard. Lyra remained, jotting notes quietly in her notebook. She did not gloat. She did not celebrate. She simply prepared. Observation was her strength, patience her weapon, and the third row her vantage point. As the hall emptied, Lyra noticed the instructors exchanging glances. The lead instructor muttered, "She has potential. Unusual but promising. Human intuition is sharper than we anticipated." Lyra did not hear them. She was already planning her next move. The hidden threat had revealed a tiny clue, and she would follow it. She would see what others could not, and she would be ready when the real test came. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly across the black sky. The Academy, a small island of light in the vast galaxy, seemed quiet now. But somewhere in the darkness, the true challenge was waiting. And Lyra, quietly sitting in row 3, was ready to face it. For Lyra, the first day was only the beginning. She had learned an important lesson. Speed and force could fail, but observation and patience never would. In a universe full of unknown dangers, those traits might be the difference between survival and disaster. And as she packed her things, the faint hum of the academy around her, Lyra smiled slightly. The others had failed. She had not, but she knew better than to celebrate too soon. The real test had yet to arrive. The next day, the academy was alive with anticipation. Students crowded the corridors, whispering about the previous day's failures. Many were still embarrassed or frustrated by their inability to identify the hidden threat in the simulation. Others boasted that they would succeed today. Lyra walked calmly, her usual quiet demeanor drawing little attention. She observed everything: the hurried steps of her classmates, the flicker of stress in their eyes, the way some instructors moved as if anticipating trouble. To Lyra, all of it was data. Small details that would help her in the next challenge. When the students entered the simulation hall, the instructors were already waiting. The main display showed a new scenario, a galaxy on the edge of political tension, with multiple species interacting on a newly colonized planet. The instructors' voices echoed through the hall. "Today's task is more complex," said the lead instructor. "The threat is subtle, cunning, and may appear friendly at first. You will need to combine observation, logic, and intuition to succeed. Remember, the galaxy is full of clever adversaries. Those who rush will fail. Those who look carefully may succeed." Students leaned forward, some with excitement, others with anxiety. Many typed furiously into their devices, activating sensors and scanning for anomalies. Lyra sat in her usual third-row seat, hands folded, her gaze calm and attentive. The simulation began. The holographic planet appeared, covered in oceans, forests, and bustling cities. Alien species mingled, and human settlers moved cautiously. On the surface, everything seemed normal. Energy readings were stable, communication channels open, and the ships in orbit appeared peaceful. Most students immediately focused on the obvious signals: power surges, unusual energy patterns, and rapid movements of alien ships. They assumed that the threat would be loud, visible, and dramatic. One student, in the front row, even deployed multiple probes at once, flooding the system with data. Lyra, however, noticed smaller details. A shipment of supplies that was supposed to arrive at a human colony did not match the schedule. A patrol drone was slightly off course. Yet it moved with perfect precision, as if guided by something unseen. Certain alien traders avoided direct eye contact when approached, and in the communications logs, small inconsistencies appeared. Messages that should have been routine were slightly altered. She observed quietly, taking notes in her small notebook. She did not rush. She did not raise alarms unnecessarily. While others panicked at the first hint of irregularity, Lyra waited. She understood something important. Threats are often hidden in plain sight, not in obvious chaos. The students' mistakes began immediately. One triggered a false alert by misreading a friendly signal as hostile. Another misidentified a group of alien workers as spies. Panic spread. Some students tried to argue with the instructors, insisting their analysis was correct. But the instructors only shook their heads. Lyra continued her calm examination. She compared the small anomalies she noticed: a shipment diverted slightly, a patrol drone that always returned to the same location, and subtle deviations in communications. She realized that all of these irregularities connected to one point: a seemingly ordinary building in the city's center. While others focused on flashy data, Lyra followed the subtle patterns. She noted the timing of the deviations, the alignment of energy flows, and even the way shadows fell across the city streets. Every piece of information told a story, and slowly, a picture emerged. The instructors watched closely. One of them, the blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, whispered to the lead instructor, "She is patient. She watches. Others act too quickly. Human caution is remarkable." The lead instructor nodded. "Yes. Observation over impulse. Perhaps she will succeed where others failed." As the simulation progressed, tension in the hall grew. Students became louder, arguing over conflicting data. Alerts flashed across the holographic display, some triggered by actual anomalies, many by false alarms. The instructors occasionally intervened. but the task was designed to test the student's judgment under stress. Lyra's focus never wavered. She observed the aliens' behaviors. Certain traders entered the building and never left for several cycles of the planet's day. A supply cart moved back and forth at odd times. Communication logs showed that some crew members transmitted messages in coded forms, invisible to standard scanners. She wrote everything down, carefully connecting the dots. Slowly, the truth became clear. The hidden threat was not loud, not violent, not dramatic. It was patient, calculating, and entirely undetected by those who relied on flashy sensors and quick judgments. The instructors announced a pause in the simulation. All students, prepare for evaluation. Present your findings or explain why you have none. Accuracy is more important than speed. Several students immediately raised their hands, eager to speak. They described anomalies, ship movements, and strange signals, but none could identify the hidden threat correctly. Some guessed wildly, pointing to random locations on the holographic map. Each incorrect answer earned a warning. Lyra remained silent. She waited for the right moment. She knew that revealing the wrong piece of information too soon could obscure the truth. Quietly, she approached her notes and traced a path of patterns that others had missed. She noticed one final clue, a subtle energy signature that moved in sync with the building's internal systems, invisible to standard scans. It was a minor detail, almost imperceptible, but it confirmed her suspicion. The threat was inside the building, hidden behind normal operations, using the city itself as camouflage. The lead instructor finally asked, "Any student who believes they have identified the threat may speak now." Hands shot up around the hall, but Lyra stayed still. Others spoke quickly, pointing to random sectors, blaming aliens or misinterpreting signals. Each answer was met with silence or a negative mark. Lyra slowly raised her hand. Her voice was quiet but steady. "The threat is inside the central building," she said. "It is concealed by normal operations, moving through systems that appear inactive. It uses schedules and patterns to hide, and only subtle anomalies reveal its presence." The hall fell silent. The instructors exchanged glances. The students stared at her, some in disbelief, others in envy. The blue-skinned instructor spoke first. "Explain your reasoning." Lyra calmly detailed her observations. The minor energy fluctuations, the timing of the supply carts, the coded messages in communications logs, and the behavior of the alien traders. Each small clue, when connected, pointed directly to the hidden threat. The instructors nodded, impressed. The lead instructor finally said, "Remarkable. You have succeeded where all others have failed. Your analysis demonstrates patience, careful observation, and a deep understanding of patterns." "Well done, student," some students whispered to each other, unable to hide their astonishment. How could someone so quiet, sitting in row 3, succeed when they had all failed? Some tried to rationalize it, others simply felt humbled. Lyra smiled faintly, not out of pride, but satisfaction. She had done what she set out to do, see what others could not. She understood a lesson even more important than completing the simulation. Rushing, arrogance, and reliance on flashy technology were weaknesses. Observation, patience, and human intuition were strengths that no device could replicate. The instructors dismissed the class, and Lyra packed her notebook. Students crowded around, some asking questions, others still grumbling at their failures. Lyra simply walked out of the hall, keeping her calm and quiet demeanor. She knew that the simulation had only tested one skill, recognizing patterns, but the real challenges would be far more difficult. Outside, the Academy's observation towers reflected the light of a nearby star, casting long shadows across the courtyard. Lyra walked slowly, observing everything: the movement of maintenance drones, the alignment of the stars, the subtle changes in the Academy's environment. Each detail was important. Each detail could save lives. That evening, Lyra sat quietly in her room, reviewing her notes. She wrote down every detail she had observed, every anomaly, every small clue. She knew that the galaxy was full of hidden dangers, far more subtle and intelligent than any simulation. She also knew that human ingenuity, patience, and careful observation could reveal these threats where others would fail. And somewhere deep in the universe, beyond the Academy's walls, a real threat waited. Not a simulation, not a test, but something alive, patient, and calculating. Lyra felt a quiet determination. She would be ready. For Lyra, success was not about recognition or praise. It was about preparation, observation, and understanding. The others had failed, but she had learned a lesson that no failure could teach. Human intelligence, when patient and observant, could uncover what no machine or quick mind could see. And as she looked out at the stars, the quiet student in row 3 smiled. The challenge had been difficult, but the real tests had yet to come. She was ready to face them, one careful observation at a time. The Academy's simulation hall was quiet, almost tense. Students had been given the results of the previous day's challenge. Most had failed spectacularly. One student had accidentally triggered a lockdown in the simulation, thinking an alien traitor was hostile. Another had misidentified a harmless energy fluctuation as a deadly weapon. And yet, quietly, in the 3rd row, Lyra had succeeded. She returned to her usual seat without fanfare. Her calm presence contrasted sharply with the restless energy of the other students, who fidgeted in their seats, whispering complaints or casting anxious glances at the instructors. To Lyra, their panic was not important. What mattered was observation, careful attention, and understanding the patterns that others could not see. The lead instructor, standing at the front of the hall, addressed the students. Today's simulation will be more challenging. The previous task tested your observation skills. But now the scenario includes multiple variables. You must identify the hidden threat among complex interactions of humans, aliens, and machinery. Accuracy is essential. Impulse will be punished. A holographic star system appeared on the main display. This time, the setting was a busy space station orbiting a recently colonized planet. Ships from multiple civilizations moved along docking bays. Holo ads flickered across the station, blending information with entertainment. At first glance, everything appeared normal. Students immediately launched probes and activated sensors. Red and blue lights flashed across their devices, indicating detected anomalies, minor energy fluctuations, and life sign irregularities. Many students jumped at the first hint of movement, signaling threats that were not there. The instructors shook their heads. Lyra, in the 3rd row, remained still. She watched carefully. She noticed subtle details that others ignored. A cargo drone that always returned to the same location, a security bot that paused at precise intervals, and crew members whose routines did not match the station's schedule. While other students panicked at each alert, Lyra quietly connected the small pieces of data. She realized that the true threat was clever. It did not act violently or openly. It moved in patterns designed to appear ordinary. It relied on the assumption that students would focus on the loud, obvious signs of danger. Most will fail again, she thought silently. She did not feel pride. She only felt focus. The students' mistakes came quickly. One triggered an alarm, sending the entire station into lockdown. Another panicked when a holographic display flickered, thinking the threat had moved there. Arguments broke out. "It has to be the alien traitors," one student shouted. "No, it's the cargo drones," another yelled. The room was chaotic. Lyra's attention remained on the patterns. She noticed that a particular docking bay received shipments at odd intervals, slightly deviating from the station's schedule. Ships that seemed ordinary carried strange energy readings, detectable only in small bursts. Crew members associated with those ships avoided certain sections of the station. All these details were too subtle for the other students, who relied on quick scans and flashy sensors. She took careful notes, connecting each observation. Slowly, a picture emerged. The threat was not a person or a machine alone. It was a combination of subtle manipulations, hidden in the behavior of drones, in the timing of shipments, and in coded messages embedded in routine transmissions. The instructors watched her silently. One of them, the blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, whispered to the lead instructor, "She does not act rashly. She does not rely on technology alone. Human observation and intuition are powerful tools." The lead instructor nodded. Indeed, most species act quickly, relying on raw data. She is patient. She sees what others miss. As the simulation continued, Lyra noticed an anomaly that tied everything together. A specific shipment, scheduled to arrive at the station, contained containers with no proper tracking codes. The crew transporting them moved in perfect rhythm, avoiding security checks without drawing attention. The energy signatures from the containers matched subtle fluctuations she had observed earlier. Other students were now panicking. Red alerts flashed across their screens, but their guesses were wrong. They accused aliens, traitors, and even security bots. One student accidentally triggered the emergency response system, forcing the instructors to temporarily pause the simulation to prevent further errors. Lyra remained calm. She understood that the solution required connecting small clues, not reacting to chaos. She traced the patterns: shipment deviations, drone movements, hidden energy readings, and crew schedules. Everything pointed to a single source, the central cargo hub of the station. There, hidden among ordinary containers and systems, the threat awaited. When the instructors restarted the simulation, they announced, "All students, you have one opportunity to identify the threat. Those who fail will be noted." Many students scrambled. They typed frantically, sent probes, and tried to predict movement. Each action created more false alarms, further confusing them. Panic replaced careful thinking. Lyra, still in the third row, quietly reviewed her notes. She verified each anomaly, tracing the energy patterns and confirming her conclusion. Finally, she raised her hand. "Yes, you," said the lead instructor. "Speak." Lyra's voice was calm but firm. "The threat is in the central cargo hub. It is hidden within ordinary containers and uses subtle energy manipulations to avoid detection. The crew transporting it is unaware of its full purpose, and it blends with routine operations. Only small anomalies in patterns reveal its presence." The hall was silent. Other students stared, mouths open, unsure how someone so quiet and seemingly ordinary could succeed again. The instructors asked her to explain. Lyra detailed her observations: timing of shipments, drone movements, energy signatures, and unusual communication logs. She demonstrated how each small anomaly, when connected, revealed the threat. The lead instructor nodded slowly. "Excellent. Once again, you have succeeded where all others have failed. Your analysis shows patience, insight, and careful observation. You see beyond what is obvious. This is the skill that will save lives in the galaxy." Some students whispered to each other in disbelief. Many were humbled. How could someone who said so little, sitting quietly in row 3? Notice what they all missed? Lyra smiled faintly, not out of pride but satisfaction. She had not acted for recognition. She had acted for understanding. Observation was her strength, patience her skill, and intuition her guide. The instructors dismissed the class, but their eyes followed her. The blue-skinned alien murmured, "Human intuition. It is extraordinary. Perhaps they are capable of more than we thought." Lyra walked out of the hall, notebook in hand, carefully observing everything around her. Students rushed past, still arguing, still blaming their failures on technology or luck. She paid no attention. Outside, the academy courtyard was quiet, bathed in the light of distant stars. Maintenance drones hovered above, cleaning the plaza. Ships moved smoothly in the orbiting docks. Lyra noticed small irregularities, a drone slightly off its normal path, a flicker in the station lights, shadows that did not match their sources. She wrote them down. Her success in the simulation was only a lesson, she knew. The galaxy contained threats far more cunning, patient, and dangerous than a controlled test. One day, she would face real danger, not simulated scenarios, and she would need every ounce of observation, patience, and intuition to survive. That evening, Lyra sat quietly in her room. She reviewed her notes, connecting patterns, writing down every detail that could be important, every energy reading, every movement, every deviation. She knew that human intelligence, careful observation, and quiet patience could reveal threats that no machine or hasty mind could detect. The stars outside her window shimmered. Somewhere in the galaxy, real danger moved silently, hiding in plain sight. Lyra felt a quiet determination. She would be ready. The others had failed again, but she had learned lessons that no failure could teach. Humans, when patient and perceptive, could uncover what others could not. And as she gazed at the endless blackness of space, the quiet student in row 3 smiled. She had observed, deduced, and prepared. The simulations were only practice. The real challenge would soon arrive, and she would meet it, patiently, carefully, and wisely. For Lyra, success was not about recognition or applause. It was about learning, understanding, and preparing for what lay beyond. She knew that the galaxy was full of threats, subtle, intelligent, and patient. But humans had something unique, the ability to see patterns, think calmly, and act wisely. That was her strength. And so the quiet observer in row 3 remained ready, her mind sharp, her eyes attentive, and her heart steady. The academy had taught many lessons, but the most important one was clear. In a universe full of threats, observation and patience could be more powerful than any weapon. The academy was unusually quiet that morning. Even the students who usually rushed about, boasting or complaining, moved more slowly, as if sensing something different in the air. Lyra walked to the simulation hall with her usual calm, observing every detail. Her eyes scanned the corridors, noting the movements of staff, the flicker of lights, and even the subtle hum of the energy conduits beneath the floor. Everything was data, every small irregularity a possible clue. The instructors were already at the front of the hall, standing by the large holographic display. The lead instructor, the humanoid with shimmering silver hair, addressed the students. Today, the final simulation will combine everything you have learned. This is not merely observation. You must act, respond, and make decisions under pressure. A hidden threat will appear. Only those who truly understand the patterns, anticipate the moves, and remain calm will succeed. The students took their seats. Many were tense. They whispered anxiously, comparing their previous failures, hoping this time they would be able to detect the threat. Lyra, however, remained quiet. She chose her familiar spot, row 3, center seat. She did not need to speak to prepare herself. Her mind was already calculating, observing, and anticipating. The simulation began. A holographic star system appeared with multiple planets, stations, and ships. Life signs and energy readings moved in complex, ever-changing patterns. On the surface of one planet, humans and aliens coexisted, trading, working, and moving through cities and docks. At first glance, the environment seemed calm. The threat was subtle. Unlike previous simulations, It did not appear immediately. There were no alarms, no explosions, no obvious signals. It moved quietly, blending with routine activity. Most students panicked immediately. One activated multiple probes, flooding the system with data. Another misinterpreted a harmless energy fluctuation as a critical danger. Chaos filled the room as false alarms multiplied. The instructors shook their heads but remained silent, letting the students learn from their mistakes. Lyra remained still. She watched the patterns carefully. She noticed a shipment being delivered to a central hub, slightly deviating from its expected path. A drone paused in unusual ways, returning to the same location multiple times. Crew members communicated in code, invisible to standard sensors. Subtle energy fluctuations appeared and disappeared, almost imperceptibly. The instructors watched her closely. The blue-skinned alien with 4 arms whispered to the lead instructor, "She is patient. She observes everything. Unlike others, she does not act on impulse. Human minds can see patterns even when chaos surrounds them." The lead instructor nodded. "Yes, she is learning the most important lesson. Calm observation is stronger than hurried action." As the simulation continued, the hidden threat began to manifest. A container in the central hub began to emit a faint energy signature, slightly stronger than background noise. The humans and aliens nearby carried out normal tasks, unaware of the danger. Most students overlooked it entirely. They were too busy chasing false alerts, trying to predict movement, or arguing about who was correct. One student even activated a security lockdown in the wrong section, delaying the detection further. Lyra focused. She compared every detail she had observed: shipment deviations, drone paths, energy readings, crew movements, and communication logs. Slowly, she connected all the dots. The threat was clever. It hid in plain sight, using ordinary objects and normal routines to mask its presence. It manipulated the timing of shipments, used drones and crew members to blend in, and relied on the assumption that observers would focus on obvious signs. Lyra knew exactly where it was. She had observed all the small clues, verified the patterns, and predicted the movement of the threat. The instructors announced a pause in the simulation. "Students, you may present your findings. Accuracy is more important than speed." Hands shot up across the hall. Students were eager to speak, hoping to guess correctly this time. Many pointed to random areas, misinterpreting signals, or blaming innocent parties. Each incorrect answer earned a warning. Lyra raised her hand quietly. The lead instructor nodded at her. "Proceed." "The hidden threat is inside the central hub," Lyra said calmly. "It is concealed by normal shipments and uses drones and crew routines to hide. The energy fluctuations are subtle but consistent, and communication logs confirm it is aware of standard security patterns. Only by analyzing small deviations in patterns can it be detected." The hall went silent. Other students stared in disbelief. How could someone so quiet, sitting in row 3, succeed yet again when everyone else had failed? The lead instructor asked, "Explain your reasoning." Lyra described every anomaly she had observed: the shipments that did not follow the expected schedule, the drone that returned repeatedly to the same location, the energy signature that pulsed faintly, and the coded messages among the crew. She explained how each detail, when connected, revealed the presence of the threat. The instructors nodded, impressed. The blue-skinned alien said, "Remarkable. She sees beyond the obvious. She connects what others ignore. This is insight, not just intelligence." The lead instructor turned to the students. "Notice her method: observation, patience, deduction. These are the qualities that will save lives. Do not rely on speed alone. Do not trust what appears obvious. Success requires understanding, not haste." Lyra smiled faintly. She had not sought recognition. She had acted to understand. Observation and careful analysis had revealed the truth. The instructors resumed the simulation. Now, the threat began to act more directly. It attempted to manipulate the station's systems, diverting resources and creating minor malfunctions. Students panicked, triggering false alarms. Security bots responded unnecessarily. Chaos spread. Lyra remained calm. She followed the patterns she had identified, predicting the threat's next moves. She directed the instructor's attention to the correct location, showing exactly where intervention was needed. The instructors took action based on her analysis. Security measures were applied precisely where the threat was hiding. The simulation confirmed her deductions. The hidden danger was neutralized without unnecessary disruption. Other students watched, some in awe, some in frustration. Their previous confidence had vanished. The quiet student in row 3 had succeeded again, not with force or speed, but with careful observation, deduction, and human intuition. The lead instructor addressed the hall. "Lyra, your work demonstrates the highest level of skill. Observation, patience, and understanding patterns are as important as technology or reflexes. You have succeeded where all others failed," students whispered among themselves. Many felt humbled. They realized that human ingenuity, patience, and observation were not weaknesses, but extraordinary strengths. Lyra had proven it. Lyra left the hall quietly, notebook in hand. Outside, the Academy's courtyard was calm. Ships moved smoothly in orbit, and maintenance drones hovered quietly above. She observed everything, taking note of small deviations, the faint flicker of a light, a drone slightly off its normal path, a shadow misaligned with its source. Her success in the simulation was a lesson, she knew. The galaxy contained far greater threats than any controlled exercise. One day, those threats would not be simulations. She would need every ounce of observation, patience, and intuition to face them. That evening, Lyra sat alone in her room. She reviewed her notes, connected patterns, and wrote down every small clue. She knew that human intelligence and careful observation could uncover hidden dangers that no machine or hasty mind could detect. The stars outside her window shimmered quietly. Somewhere in the galaxy, a real threat moved silently, waiting for the right moment. Lyra felt a calm determination. She would be ready. The others had failed again, but she had learned lessons that no failure could teach. Humans, when patient and observant, could reveal what others could not. And as she gazed at the endless blackness of space, the quiet student in row 3 smiled faintly. The simulations were only practice. The real challenge was coming, and she would meet it patiently, carefully, and wisely. For Lyra, success was not about recognition or applause. It was about understanding, preparation, and learning to see patterns that others overlooked. The galaxy was full of hidden threats, intelligent, patient, and subtle. But humans had a unique ability to observe, analyze, and act wisely. That was her strength. And so, the quiet observer in row 3 remained ready. Her mind sharp, her eyes attentive, her heart steady. The Academy had taught many lessons, but the most important was clear. In a universe full of threats, observation and patience could be more powerful than any weapon. The Academy was unusually tense that morning. The usual hum of students talking and preparing had been replaced by an almost tangible silence. Rumors had spread overnight. A real threat, unlike any simulation, had been detected entering the sector. It was unconfirmed, but its presence was enough to alert the instructors and students alike. Lyra walked through the corridors with calm focus. She noticed every detail: the shifts in lighting, the subtle vibrations beneath the floor, and the hurried movements of students who were far more nervous than usual. None of them moved with purpose, most acted in panic. She, however, did not. Observation, patience, and careful analysis were her tools, and she trusted them completely. When she entered the main hall, the instructors were already at the front, their expressions grave. The lead instructor, the humanoid with silver hair, addressed the students. "This is not a simulation. A real unidentified vessel has entered the sector," they said. "Its intentions are unknown. We must identify and neutralize the threat before it can reach populated systems. Today, you will be tested not by simulations, but by reality. Only those who can think, observe, and act with precision will succeed." Whispers spread across the room. Many students were visibly shaken. Some fumbled with their devices, attempting to scan the sector. Others argued loudly, guessing at the threat's location or origin. Chaos loomed, but Lyra remained calm. She took her familiar seat in the third row, her notebook ready. She did not need to rush. She did not need to panic. Her mind worked clearly, analyzing information and searching for patterns others overlooked. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the distant star system where the unknown vessel had been detected. At first, it was a single dot among countless stars. Its movement was subtle, almost imperceptible. Energy signatures were faint, and communications remained undetectable. Most students leaned forward, straining to find any anomaly. Lyra observed quietly. She noticed small irregularities in the readings. The way the ship moved in slight deviations from normal gravitational paths, the faint energy pulses it emitted, and the way nearby asteroids appeared to shift slightly in its vicinity. These were details too subtle for quick observers, but Lyra's mind registered them immediately. The other students panicked. "It has to be hiding somewhere obvious," one exclaimed. "We can't see it. Maybe it's cloaked," another shouted. Red alerts flashed across their devices, many triggered by false data. Lyra ignored the chaos. She compared the subtle movements of the vessel with known patterns of natural phenomena and artificial structures. She noted how the ship's trajectory avoided standard detection zones and how it seemed to manipulate minor gravitational forces to remain hidden. The instructors watched her silently. The blue-skinned alien with 4 arms whispered, "She will succeed. Others will fail in panic, but she will see the truth." The lead instructor nodded. "Observation, patience, deduction. This is what separates those who can protect the galaxy from those who cannot." Lyra traced the vessel's path carefully. She noticed its subtle approach vector. It was moving toward a series of minor moons, using their shadows and gravitational fields as cover. Its energy emissions were minimal but consistent, enough for a trained mind to detect over time. While the students argued and triggered multiple false alarms, Lyra focused on the vessel itself. She observed the energy fluctuations, the timing of its maneuvers, and the way it avoided larger ships in the sector. Slowly, a picture emerged. The ship was intelligent, calculating, and deliberate. Its goal was hidden, but the path it followed revealed a strategy. The lead instructor addressed the hall. "Time is critical. Any student who believes they have identified the vessel's location and intentions may report now." Hands shot up around the hall, but Lyra remained calm. She did not rush. She did not guess. She analyzed every pattern one last time before speaking. Finally, she raised her hand. "Yes, student," the instructor said. "The vessel is hiding in the outer moons of the central star system," Lyra said quietly but clearly. "It is using the gravitational shadows to remain undetected. Its energy emissions are minimal, but it is intelligent, monitoring the station and local ships. Its goal seems to be gathering information on populated systems, but it could escalate into an attack if undetected." The hall was silent. Other students stared, some incredulous. How could someone so quiet, sitting in the third row, see what they all missed? The lead instructor asked, "Explain your reasoning." Lyra calmly detailed her observations. The vessel's subtle deviations from natural orbits, the faint energy pulses, the way it avoided detection zones, and its use of gravitational shadows. She showed how the vessel's trajectory revealed intelligence, strategy, and purpose. Each small detail, when connected, pointed directly to the ship's hidden location. The instructors nodded. The lead instructor said, "Excellent! Once again, you have succeeded where all others have failed. Your method, observation, deduction, patience, has revealed the truth. This is the power of human intellect and insight." The students whispered among themselves. Many felt humbled. Some were inspired. Others were frustrated that they had relied on speed and technology alone. Lyra had demonstrated something deeper: the ability to see patterns, anticipate moves, and act wisely in a chaotic situation. The instructors quickly organized a response. Using Lyra's analysis, they guided a small fleet toward the outer moons, approaching the hidden vessel with precision. Every move matched her predictions. The unknown ship was revealed exactly where Lyra had indicated. The vessel, intelligent and calculating, attempted to maneuver, but the fleet anticipated its path perfectly. Using nonviolent containment protocols, the instructors secured the vessel and prevented any damage or escalation. The students watched in awe. Many had panicked, misinterpreted data, and failed to see the obvious. Lyra, calm and focused, had guided the response through careful observation and deduction. After the operation, the lead instructor addressed the students. "Observe and learn. Today, you witnessed human ingenuity at work. Technology is powerful, but intuition, patience, and careful observation are equally vital. Lyra's methods have saved countless lives today and could save many more in the future." Lyra quietly packed her notebook. She did not seek praise. She knew that today's success was not about recognition. It was about preparation, awareness, and the ability to see what others could not. Outside the hall, the academy buzzed with life. Ships moved in orbit, students walked through the corridors, and instructors supervised operations. Lyra observed everything: a drone slightly off its usual path, a subtle flicker in the energy shields, a maintenance bot moving differently than usual. She noted each detail carefully. That evening, Lyra sat in her room, reviewing the day's events. The real threat had been contained, but she knew the galaxy was vast, full of dangers more subtle and intelligent than any simulation. One day, these threats would not announce themselves. One day, the skills she had honed, observation, patience, deduction, would be tested under real conditions. Her thoughts turned to the other students. Many had failed, yet some had glimpsed small truths, learning lessons that no classroom or simulation could teach fully. Lyra understood that failure was part of learning, but she also knew that human traits, curiosity, intuition, patience, and careful observation could overcome even the most intelligent adversaries. The stars outside her window glittered silently. Somewhere beyond the academy's walls, threats waited. Ships moved quietly in distant systems. Life continued, unaware of the dangers that lurked. Lyra smiled faintly. She had observed, deduced, and guided the response. She had proven that calm, careful analysis could succeed where chaos and rash decisions failed. And she knew this: the galaxy was a place where humans, with their unique minds and patience, could rise above challenges that others could not. In the quiet of her room, Lyra made one final note. The galaxy was full of hidden dangers. Many would panic, many would rush, and many would fail. But humans, when they observed carefully, connected the dots, and acted wisely, could uncover what no other species could see. The Academy had taught many lessons over the years, but the most important was clear. In a universe full of threats, patience, observation, and human intelligence were the greatest weapons of all. And so, the quiet student in row 3 remained vigilant, ready for the next challenge. The galaxy was vast, mysterious, and dangerous, but Lyra was prepared. Calm, observant, and intelligent, She knew that humanity's greatest strength was not technology or power. It was the ability to see what others could not, to think clearly under pressure, and to act wisely when the time came. For Lyra, the real journey had only just begun.